These siblings were just spending time together when a hunter suddenly appeared. He ambushed them and cut the boy down without a second thought. But the boy regenerated. This hunter was actually testing their hidden powers. Realizing their gift, he began killing the siblings over and over again. Every death gave the hunter experience points, helping him level up fast. This horrific cycle continued for years inside a dark, hidden basement. He kidnapped and locked them away, but he wasn't alone in this. He created a guild where 5 top hunters farmed them for experience. They used the siblings to become the strongest S-rank hunters around. Every hunter had a different, cruel way to grind their levels up. Some of them pushed things way past just killing. It was torture. These siblings were immortals, destined to regenerate through any fatal injury. They were forced to endure the agony of death thousands of times. One day, the hunters made a mistake and left the cage unlocked. They assumed the pair was too weak to even try moving anymore. That day, the hunters had to travel far away for an assignment. These were the famous heroes who defeated the S-rank Demon King. One hunter stayed behind, eager to grind just a few more levels. Meanwhile, in the basement, the brother remained pinned to the cold floor. The girl's heart was shattered. Those monsters had used her every way. She thought destroying her own body and regenerating might fix her soul. She sliced off the parts pinning her brother to set him free. To trigger his healing, she struck him directly in the heart. Suddenly, after her brother died, the girl saw a level-up notification. It was a revelation. This was how those hunters became so strong. Pure malice filled her eyes. It was time for some bloody revenge. They would commit the same sin if it meant gaining enough strength. Her brother understood her plan and gave his silent, dark permission. He simply told her to do it right now, no more waiting. In that cold, dark room, they killed each other thousands of times. Nearly 1,000,000 deaths later, they reached a whole new power level. The hunter returned to the basement and saw something truly terrifying. He screamed in rage, claiming only he was allowed to be strong. In a flash, the siblings regenerated into 2 truly powerful beings. Their weak, helpless look was gone. They were completely different now. Like fierce wolves ready to strike, they loomed over the hunter. He fell back in terror, but then remembered his S-rank status. He summoned his magical beast, but the boy wasn't even flinching. He pushed his sister aside, ready to show off his power. His presence was ice cold. Not even a dragon could scare him. The girl was stronger, yet the trauma still haunted her heart. Her brother stepped in like a knight to protect his precious sister. This battle between an S-rank and an immortal was legendary. Experience alone wasn't enough. The boy completely drained the hunter's energy. He looked down and said, "Now you will pay in the worst way." Hours dragged on. The brother destroyed and rebuilt that S-rank over and over. He made him feel every ounce of the agony they endured for years. When the guild returned, they found their comrade dangling from the basement ceiling. His body was a total wreck, still breathing, but beyond any human saving. Not even high-tier magic could help. The leader finally ended his friend's misery. One clean strike sliced him in 2. Chikara fumed, but Haruto remained cold. He simply explained it was mercy. There was no way to save him. Now only one thing mattered: finding those 2 and making them pay dearly. Elsewhere, Shin and Minori are sprinting through the dark woods at top speed. Little Minori finally collapses, her legs burning with sharp, unbearable pain. They stop to rest. The truth finally hits them. They actually made it out. Shin gently strokes her hair. After that living hell, he made a choice. He promises to protect her forever. Soon, she drifts off in his lap. She is completely spent. Shin stays wide awake, watching for any sign of trouble. He knows the guild is coming, but his own eyes start feeling heavy. He fights the urge to sleep. He cannot fail her now. Then something. Movement in the trees. Shin jolts upright, adrenaline surging through his entire body. He feels it, pure malice, the exact same stench as his former captors. Those years of torture left a mark. Thinking his sister is safe, he vanishes. He chases the source of that killing intent deep into the dark forest. He finds a house hidden in the woods. They will notice him very soon. Out of nowhere, a shadow lunges from behind and stabs him in the neck. Strangers emerge from the thick branches, surrounding him like a pack of wolves. He scans their faces, total strangers. He has never seen these guys before. They hem him in from every angle. He is completely cornered by them. They found their target, but they remember the mission mentioned a girl, too. 500 million just for one guy. They figured this would be easy money. Their mage casts a buff, surging strength into every member of the group. Drunk on new power, the first attacker lunges forward and strikes Shin hard. He thinks it is over. Shin hits the dirt, his bones sounding completely crushed. Bones shattered? Nope. Shin just snaps his neck right back into place. The group freezes in terror. By all rights, that man should be dead now. Are you with the guild? No answer. Fine, it does not really matter. Whoever they are finished. Suddenly, he vanishes into thin air. He strikes from the side, catching an enemy off guard with a brutal hit. A massive gut punch. If you show him malice, you are officially his enemy. Two more rush in. They actually manage to tear his arm right off. Shin grabs his own severed arm and swings it like a club. Direct hit. While he drops the guy, his arm grows back instantly. He is not finished. He turns on the next guy, delivering a heavy blow with his brand new arm. 3 down just like that. Now only the mage with the staff remains. She is shaking, terrified of his power. She quickly prepares a desperation spell. She fires off a purple light. It hits him dead center with an explosion. The beam is massive, no one could dodge that, but then the smoke clears. Shin walks out, not a single scratch on him. She cannot believe her eyes. You and I are witnessing pure chaos as the mage fires purple beams. Shin rises again, completely unfazed. The moment she tries to flee, he intercepts. Shin gives chase. After leaving the enemies dangling from the trees, he steals clothes. He takes an outfit from a fallen foe, choosing to spare their lives. He returns to his sister, apologizing softly for waking her in this dark place. Minori asks about the clothes. Shin tells a gentle lie about a kind stranger. The lie works, making her smile. He even brought a beautiful new outfit. She is overjoyed. Dressed in their new clothes, they set off together. These immortal siblings continue their journey, walking down the quiet dirt road. Shin is certain that if they travel further, the guild will lose them. They find shelter beneath a waterfall, lighting a fire behind the crashing water. He shares the food he found, helping them both regain their strength and spirit. The mercenaries' rations were helpful, though they carried no real answers or secrets. Shin tells his sister he must head to the tower for information. He asks Minori to hide safely while he enters the city to scout. Upon arriving, he is stunned by the high-tech beauty of this world. He sells a piece of gear, pocketing a small fortune for their future. With the money, he buys every supply his sister could ever possibly need. Finally, he can feed his sister, but shadows of the past still linger. Abe was the weakest link. The others, they are far more monstrous. He must uncover their weaknesses to drag every single one of them to hell. High above, you and I see an airship broadcasting news of a death. Kira appears on screen, weeping for his friend who was allegedly murdered. He vows vengeance against the killers, showing Shin and Minori's faces live. Public outrage explodes. Shin realizes the enemies were sent to kidnap them. Haruto speaks to the camera, warning Shin that hiding is absolutely useless. The news sends the public into a frenzy, demanding justice for Abe. They want the siblings dead. Shin knows Kira is simply burying his crimes. He feels a burning duty to drag this liar into the underworld. The scene shifts back to a few days before their daring escape. Chikara is ruthlessly beating a man, calling him a useless piece of trash. Aya dismisses the violence, claiming they have already reached the power they need. Seiya is terrified that their treatment of the siblings will be discovered. Haruto calms him, promising to frame the siblings as heinous criminals. No one will believe fugitives with a massive bounty on their heads. Chikara is punching a man for failing to bring back any decent information. Aya says they have already leveled up enough and no longer need this. Seiya is deeply concerned that what they did to the siblings will be exposed. Haruto calms him down, saying he will make the world see them as criminals. He knew no one would believe the desperate words of fugitives on the run, especially with a $500 million bounty placed on their heads. Kongu thinks this is just a plan to let the siblings escape alive. Furious, he refuses to forgive anyone who tortured his dear comrade, Abe. He wants to capture them both and drag them through a living nightmare. Stick with me, because Aya understands his rage but has her own thoughts. Taru was the weakest of them. That's why he was targeted first. Kongu snapped. He tried to punch the mage for insulting their fallen comrade. But shimmering magical restraints appeared instantly, freezing his strike before it could land. The mage told him to relax. She didn't think those kids were threats. For Kongu, this wasn't about danger. It was about pure, cold revenge. The argument died when Kira stepped in. Taru had left a message. It was written in blood. They were going to eliminate every single one. The siblings still had them in their sights. It was a declaration. Haruto told the group not to panic. The curious would show up soon. The world was hunting them now. Their faces and bounties were public knowledge. Information would surface soon. When Kongu tried to fight back, Haruto stopped him. Panicking wouldn't help world-renowned heroes. They had a bigger mission ahead. They needed to prep for the Hell Lords. For now, some much-needed rest. But Chikara couldn't rest, not with that much boiling rage in his soul. He was determined to find them. He was going to wipe them out. Meanwhile, the two siblings were regrouping at a hidden, mist-covered waterfall. Minori finally got some good sleep. Illusion magic kept the threats far away. After resting, they knew it was time to move. Danger was coming. Staying in one place for too long was a death sentence for them. He warned Minori they were criminals now. Their faces were in every city. So he had an idea. They would wear masks to hide their identity. Even if it messed with their vision, they couldn't afford to be spotted. The Kuryu siblings masked up. They'd be ready, even if they ran into enemies. As they left, Minori asked about their destination. Her brother already had one. They were heading to a dungeon, a world tucked away behind a gate. It was a place where the laws of the common world simply didn't apply. Normal people were forbidden from entering. It was a land for the strong. The terrain was brutal to cross, but perfect for a couple of runaways. His city guide mentioned a nasty poison swamp at the top of the mountain. It was a death zone. Hunters would rarely go there to find them. That made it the perfect base. Soon, they reached the region's mystical gate. No matter what happened next, they were going to stick together. Stick with me as they held hands, ready to jump. They leaped into the portal together. On the other side, total shock. The swamp was terrifying, a place where nobody else could survive. Even so, they weren't about to let their guard down yet. A hunter with a poison immunity potion could still track them down. Suddenly, he stepped on a plant trap that shot a spike at him. He warned his sister immediately. Step on those vines, and seeds start flying. This place was crawling with traps. Then, Minori pointed something out ahead. They couldn't relax. She pointed ahead. A giant white wolf was waiting there. Beside it was a giant black wolf. He told her not to worry. "I'll handle this," he said. He charged forward toward the massive creatures. He jumped high, landing on their backs and delivering a devastating punch of overwhelming force that shattered the black wolf. But the white wolf stayed. It literally ripped through half his body. Minori froze, but thankfully, he regenerated fast. He was terrified, though. This dungeon beast had speed and power like nothing else. We are talking a different tier here, way beyond Abe Teru or his chimera. Minori snaps into action, casting a spell to protect her brother. A weird enchantment, really. Suddenly, his own severed limbs start moving. They actually launch an attack on the monster. Those detached hands force the wolf's mouth open wide, exposing every single sharp tooth. With the opening ready, he charges. One clean strike right through the core, and it is over. He is absolutely spent, panting and covered in sweat. Seeing him like that makes Minori panic. The fight is won, sure, but the toll on his body is plain to see. He realizes that crazy finishing move only happened because of his sister's unique support magic. Red lightning flickers across his skin. Not bad, it is the power that just saved their lives. Meanwhile, a month later, we see Kongu lifting a massive boulder like it weighs absolutely nothing. While his subordinates handle the smaller monsters, he is just flexing his strength. He lobs that rock with insane force, instantly crushing those blue wyverns overhead. Then he grabs another and just rips its wing off. Brutal, level up for Kongu. Total annihilation. As expected, these wyverns never stood a single chance against him. Later, during a meal in a cave, Kongu asks where the siblings are. His guys tell him to chill. Every hunter is out there hunting them for that bounty. Big money. But then one subordinate drops a bigger lead. Word on the street, the boy is wearing a mask now. Apparently, a friend saw Kuryu's shin deep in the dungeon. He supposedly took down a poisoned snake using nothing but his bare hands. Bare hands. Remember, an A-rank snake has enough venom to drop an elephant in seconds. Nobody could believe a human could actually pull off a feat that insane. To Chikara, this felt wrong. How could someone this strong be a total mystery? The idea of a guy killing an A-rank snake barehanded. Yeah, he needs to meet him. The subordinate says it happened 3 days ago, which means the boy is probably still in there. It is a restricted, dangerous zone, though. One guy tries to warn him to stop. Bad move, Kongu shuts him up with a punch to the face. Argument over, I guess. He orders everyone to head to the poison swamp immediately. No more waiting. Chikara is stoked to find that masked man. Back in the dungeon, our protagonist feels a chill. He scrambles up a tree, eyes glued to the portal. He can feel someone coming. It is Kongu, he is sure of it. He tells Minori he is going out there. Minori is terrified, she begs him not to go. But he just tells her to relax. They aren't the same weak kids anymore. This is the moment, their perfect shot at revenge against that total brute. He tells her to stop worrying. Since he cannot die, everything is going to be fine. Minori still warns him. Immortality or not, Kongu is way more dangerous than Abe was. She casts her strength boost, and just like that, he disappears into the shadows. He moves through the trees like a ghost, activating a spell to widen his vision. There he is. Kongu is right by the entrance, just waiting for the kill. He spots a poisonous boar nearby. Perfect. That is going to be his first trap. He pulls a knife and slices his own finger. A little blood sacrifice. Then he hits the creature with a nasty mix of illusion and hypnosis. He sends the boar charging straight toward the poisonous horde, leading them into a trap. Seeing the stampede headed their way, Kongu and his thugs think this is just a warm-up. He snaps at his men to quit shaking and get ready for the slaughter. As they tear through the beasts, Kongu roars for more, bored by the easy fight. This is way too simple. Within minutes, the entire herd lies dead at their feet. He laughs at how weak they were, while his exhausted men beg for a break. Chikara doesn't care. Suddenly, one of his thugs starts gasping for air, clutching his chest. He is wheezing, then suddenly, he is coughing up blood. Then things get really gross. Their skin literally starts to melt off as they all collapse, choking on their own blood. Kongu catches a scent in the air. Poison. Finally, he realizes why his men are rotting. But something is wrong. Boars don't release a toxin this lethal just by dying. While he is questioning everything, our main character finally steps out from the shadows. He strikes from behind, but Kongu blocks the hit like it was nothing. Kongu turns to see the masked man. Turns out, the rumors were actually true. Our hero lunges in, quick as a flash, and slices right through Chikara's hand. Even with a knife stuck in his palm, the monster swings back with a massive punch. The impact sends our lead flying. The sheer pressure of the wind is insane. Kongu's speed and toughness. Yeah, he is every bit as dangerous as they say. The rumors were an understatement. Kongu rips the dagger from his hand like a splinter. He looks at the masked man and smiles. Honestly, he is starting to like this kid. He only respects the strong. As for his dead men, they were just weak trash. Seeing the hero's potential, he actually offers him a spot in his crew. Join the Byakuran banner as his right-hand man, and life would be perfect. Wealth, fame, women, you name it. It would all be served on a silver platter. Sounds like a dream, right? He doubles down on his obsession with pure strength. He thought those guys he brought along had a spark, but he was dead wrong. They were just annoying, useless baggage. In fact, he has got a pretty dark regret. He wishes he had just used them as live punching bags while they were still breathing. Our hero remembers his own hell. He asks why Kongu enjoys hurting the weak. Chikara just laughs. It is fun, simple as that, you won't believe his reasoning. When he breaks the weak, they always do the same thing. They start begging. The same pathetic apologies. Seeing their faces twisted in absolute terror, that is his therapy. Their desperation is his entertainment. Hearing this, our hero finally snaps. He charges in with pure rage, landing a solid strike right on Kongu's jaw. Kongu just grins. Now that is a punch. He is actually impressed by the hero's fire. He winds up for a counterattack, but Shin is too fast and slips away. Shin sidesteps the blow, draws his blade, and sinks it into the villain's arm. Kongu didn't plan on letting him survive, but he has to admit, the kid is strong. Shin already knew this guy was a monster. Now, he is seeing the proof firsthand. Chikara prepares another brutal strike. The air feels heavy with pure, unadulterated malice. With a face full of hate, he unleashes an explosive, bone-shattering blow. It lands perfectly, sending Shin spiraling through the air. This is bad. That hit was different. Shin felt like he just got struck by a falling mountain. This was it, the absolute peak of Kongu's strength. The villain slowly walks over. He looms over Shin, asking if he actually survived that, but Kongu is shocked. All right, you and I are starting with a monster who is only using 30% power. Shin was left in total shock, unable to believe that wasn't a full power hit. The brute dared him to use everything, even those strange musical weapons he carried. He bragged that he would take any hit just to prove who was actually stronger. Shin lunged forward with his knife, but the blade simply shattered against Kongu's body. Kongu laughed, saying his skin was far too tough for a dull blade like that. At full strength, he claimed a toy-like that wouldn't even leave a scratch. The power gap was obvious now. Shin stood no chance of winning this fight. But our hero didn't stop. He answered with a desperate flurry of punches. Chikara was impressed. No one had ever dared to challenge him like this before. He was starting to like this guy, but that didn't mean he'd go easy. A massive kick sent the protagonist flying across the battlefield with bone-breaking force. Excited, he slammed the boy into the dirt and pinned him there. Disappointment set in. He had high hopes for Shin, but now he seemed dead. Wait, Kongu spotted a pool of poison nearby. Then, a knife hit his shoulder. It seemed impossible. How was Shin still in one piece after touching that poison? The boy's skin was somehow intact. This level of survival was beyond any human. He called him a monster, though he still couldn't remember who he was. Suddenly, a memory clicked. Chikara charged the masked man with everything he had. He tried to grab our hero, who was just barely dodging those lethal blows. Kongu channeled magic into his fist and slammed it straight into the dirt. The explosion shattered the entire area, sweeping Shin away in a cloud of debris. The ground shattered into a massive crater, and the impact sent Shin's mask flying. Now watch this. When the mask falls, Chikara bursts into hysterical, chilling laughter. The immortal. He'd been hunting for Kuryu Makoto Shin all this time, and finally. He couldn't believe it was really him. It all made sense now, the endurance. Shin had only survived those deadly attacks because of his insane regeneration powers. The villain screamed that he'd been waiting for this chance to avenge Teru's death. Any thoughts of making Shin an ally were gone. This was personal now. Filled with pure hatred, he declared he was going to eliminate him forever. But Shin wasn't intimidated. He promised he'd do far more than just kill him. The two rivals faced off, and the massive brute charged forward once more. He started hurling massive rocks, each one a deadly projectile flying at our hero. And one flew with such speed it tore his arm right off. Immediately after, Kongu prepared a kick, yelling that he wouldn't let the immortal escape again. The ground shattered even further, making that massive crater even wider than before. But our hero was still moving. He dashed toward Chikara with incredible blurring speed. He appeared right in front of the giant and landed a punch to his face. Kongu barely even flinched. He just stared him down and asked if that was it. To show him a real punch, he delivered a crushing blow to Shin's face. Shin went flying into a rock, coughing up blood as his body began to fail. The immortal was trembling now. That last hit had really done some damage. Kongu's laughter filled the air as he saw the pure terror taking over the boy. Terrified, our hero started running. He couldn't handle that monster's malicious, haunting expression. You and I can see it. He finally remembered the absolute horror of that torture. Makoto scrambled for safety as the massive giant loomed right behind him. The immortal screamed, and his severed arm suddenly took flight, aiming straight for its target. Without looking, the villain crushed the limb and the magic instantly, sensing that Shin was trying a trick. Arrogantly, the enemy said he wouldn't be beat by something so trivial. Then he landed another brutal, crushing kick to the boy's stomach with an air of superiority. He stepped on his head, demanding to know how he got so strong. He warned the beating would continue until he answered every single question. From the boy's look, Kongu realized his sister was nearby and said he would destroy Minori too after finishing Shin. He really is a monster. Wanting to see if she'd be as entertaining as Makoto. Our protagonist was furious, but he couldn't move while taking head kicks. Finally, the giant stomped down, planning to tie the boy up. He wanted to end this before he healed, but Shin vanished instantly. He reappeared behind Kongu as red and black lightning crackled everywhere. His regeneration was faster now. Shin vanishes in the blink of an eye and reappears in front of his enemy, preparing a punch. A massive shockwave erupts from their fists, releasing a huge burst of energy. Kongu notices the speed, but still judges the boy to be totally powerless. He thinks he's overwhelmed and unleashes a flurry of punches. He asks if his healing factor is failing to keep up. Kongu's punch makes the boy's arm explode, and Shin reacts with a look of agony. The villain wonders how long he can last. His defense is weak. Another kick is thrown at the protagonist. He loses another arm. Chikara calls him incompetent and brainless. He's just defending. Seeing Shin crack a small smile, he wonders why. The protagonist answers that he just thought of something important. He's glad Kongu is an idiot. Shin notices that all his limbs are imbued with dark energy. Now, our hero commands them. He tells his body parts to move. His severed limbs attack. The villain laughs, saying he isn't affected by such weak blows. He counterattacks, but is surprised by their sheer strength and power. It's odd, since the boy was trembling with fear just now. Our hero is still afraid, yet something strong is growing inside him. He's channeling all his hatred into these powerful new attacks. He charges a punch with his last arm, enveloped by magic. Lightning crackles as he manages to blow his enemy's arm apart. Leaving him in shock, Shin challenges him to a contest now. He dares him to a test of strength. This enrages him. He screams he'll turn the boy into a punching bag and charges. He vows he'll never regenerate again. Now, our hero is ready. He commands the severed arms to gather into one giant limb. He delivers the strongest punch of his life with that arm. The colossal punch connects, and the enemy is sent flying away. Shin asks Chikara how it feels to lose in strength now. All the pure hatred and fear those brothers felt will be etched deep into the villain. A week after the clash with Kongu, the guild heroes gather at their secret base. Kira asks Seiya if the preparations for the next demon lord are going well. Seiya replies that they are, and they must work hard for Abe Toru's sake. For a brief moment, Haruto seems to have completely forgotten that Toru even lived. Seiya finds this reaction strange. After a second, Kira says he was just joking. He claims he remembers Abe. After that awkward beat, Seiya mentions Chikara is missing. Kira explains he is out looking for the brothers right now. He comments that those two served as the perfect little punching bags back then. He tells the swordsman to relax, saying Chikara will bring the brothers back soon. Their cold attitude leaves Seiya feeling uneasy. He plans to train them to death. Just then, a panicked employee arrives to give the heroes some urgent news. He claims a package was just delivered, but it is no ordinary delivery. Seiya and Kira run to see the contents, their faces twisted with worry. Aya tells them they can see the horror for themselves. That is when Seiya notices parts of Kongu's body, recognizable by his tattoo. Everyone is certain it is Chikara's arm, and they become deeply concerned. Aya casts a spell and confirms it is no fake. These are his real remains. Seiya reacts badly, wondering who could have possibly eliminated the big guy. Aya observes the cruel cuts and the fact the parts were sent as messages. She concludes it was someone with a deep grudge. Chikara was hunting the brothers. They assume the boys are responsible. You and I know they are right. Seiya cannot believe those two runts had the power to defeat a brute. Kira admits he had doubts ever since Toru was taken out of the picture. Toru was the weakest, yet he was still stronger than most elite hunters. Now Chikara, one of the strongest in the world, has been defeated. Kira is certain the brothers are much stronger than they should be. Outraged, the swordsmen cannot believe they grew strong enough to kill Kongu so fast. Haruto then asks how they could have possibly gained such power so quickly. Seiya explains they did it by slaughtering each other hundreds of times to level. Kira adds that by defeating a higher-level enemy, you gain massive experience points. The brothers likely killed each other over and over to level up quickly. All of this was for their revenge on the Byakuran Guild. This revelation leaves Aya and Seiya frightened, but they try to remain calm. Even while mourning Chikara, they need to think about what to do next. Aya casts a spell to stabilize Seiya's mind, telling him he needs rest. He thanks her and leaves, while Haruto asks the mage to leave him alone. When she leaves, Haruto picks up the severed arm without feeling even slightly intimidated. Sending a piece of trash like this to confront him does not scare him. If they think they will get their revenge with this, they are mistaken. Still, the fact that they came up with a plan to beat Kongu was impressive. Stepping on his former comrade's severed eye, he calls the brothers idiots. However, that eye belonged to Makoto Shin, who had been watching everything. Now that it is destroyed, he loses the connection to the room. He decides he needs to gather more information from the enemy. He heads back to the base. Minori is on his mind, and he is desperate to get back. After all, the poor girl was waiting for him right outside the guild main base. Delivering that package was just an excuse for a city shopping trip. Dungeon food? No thanks. Luckily, his outfit is enchanted with a special body memory spell. Pretty handy, right? Even if they get torn or dirty, they just repair themselves automatically. Talk about a life hack. He even picks up some souvenirs for Minori, who is still waiting all alone for him. On his way back to the dungeon, he is leaping over rooftops when things get weird. Armed hunters are chasing someone. Our hero stops dead in his tracks. He realizes the target is just a young woman. For a second, he hesitates. Getting involved is risky. This entire district is under the iron grip of Byakuran. Suddenly, the hunters close in. They have got her cornered, and they know it. The girl stops. She is trapped. That is when our guy realizes he cannot just walk away. He leaps from the building and charges. Those hunters did not stand a single chance. He lands heavy blows on both of them before they can even process what happened. There is clearly more to this story. He tells her to run and get out of there. Wait, he recognizes her. What on earth is she doing in a place like this? Meanwhile, Minori is just hanging out on a tree branch, waiting for her big brother. He finally makes it back, but Minori immediately notices something is very, very wrong. She spots the hooded girl in his arms and demands to know who she is. He tells her to relax and actually look at the girl face. Prepare for shock. Minori freezes. The girl has her exact face. It is like looking into a twisted mirror. Enter Ishiki Seiya, the elite commander of Byakuran and the world's best swordsman. This S-rank hero is a total superstar. With that gentle look, women absolutely adore him. He has got charm, humor, and a friendly vibe that wins over every single person. But underneath that mask, he is a monster, a truly wicked soul hidden in plain sight. One night, while relaxing in a hot tub, a girl accidentally spills some wine. Seiya snaps. Over a tiny accident, he kills her, just like that. He remembers Minori in chains. To him, she was the ultimate toy to break. Most women break, but not her. No matter the pain, she just would not die. He used his holy sword to carve into her, loving every single terrified scream. Torture was his obsession. but Shin was getting sick of Minori being the target. His brother would not stop complaining, so to shut him up, Seiya did something brutal. He shoved his blade right into his brother's mouth. Men are boring to him. He only cares about breaking women. He even attacked her right in front of Shin. He told her to scream louder. After his sick display, he headed for the elevator. There, he spotted Kira and Teru. He watched them sneak toward a very specific room. That room is restricted to everyone except Haruto. Something sketchy is definitely happening. Seiya tries to sneak a peek, but Kira catches him immediately. No entry allowed. He plays it off with an apology. Just curious why they were together, he says. Kira claims he is just dumping trash. Then, he actually invites the swordsman inside. Curiosity wins. Seiya steps inside and his eyes go wide at the sight. The room is filled with tubes. Inside, countless clones of Minori Kuryu herself. Haruto explains the plan. He ordered the creation of all these identical Minori clones. The plan is to mass-produce them using Miyu power, all to level up faster. They are using Byakuran resources and Teru tech to pull off this madness. The plan to create clones failed. Their healing powers were just too broken. After dying 10 times, these clones would simply stop coming back to life. No regeneration. Even worse, they did not even drop any experience points. Taru tried to fix the bugs, but the task was way too difficult. They were useless trash, so he decided to dump them, but Seiya hesitated. Was he really just tossing them? Taru grinned and said he had a trick. He would squeeze every bit of use from them before finally throwing them away. Still, it was not enough. They were not real. Then, in a sick twist, the world's strongest swordsman asked for them. Taru was confused by the request. He argued they were junk with no souls or awareness of their own. They were just broken dolls following orders. To Seiya, that sounded absolutely perfect. Abe thought it was creepy that he was so hyped over these dolls. Seiya just laughed. Abe did not get it. This was not about toys. This was about Minori Kuryu. He was obsessed and wanted to play with them. He planned to use them in every sick way possible. In his mind, she belonged entirely to him. Kira realized this was not obsession, but dependency. Haruto spat that Seiya was the lowest kind of scum on the planet. All right, here is the twist. The clone and real Minori meet, and it is shocking. Our main character rushes over, asking if his sister is all right. Then, the clone speaks. There are dozens more Minoris being used by that monster Ishiki. They were meant to be hollow shells, but the truth was much darker. These girls actually had feelings. The clone could not describe the sensation, but everything shifted the moment she saw the real Minori on a television screen. A strange warmth bloomed inside her, but along with it, pure, burning hatred. All that resentment was aimed directly at Ishiki Seiya. The moment she knew, she broke out of that mansion. She warns them there are others left. Others are still trapped inside. She begs our hero to go and save them. Our protagonist gets a dark idea. Use those clones to finally kill Seiya. She does not understand how. He explains that since Ishiki thinks they are soulless, he will surely drop his guard around them. That is when they strike. They can use this plan to end him, but Minori has one question. What if he finds out? What if the plan fails? He answers coldly. Worst case, they all get wiped out. Hearing this, his sister goes ballistic. She slaps Shin Makoto hard. Those girls never asked for this life, she screams. They are alive now. They should not be treated like tools or abandoned. Those girls were made from her own cells. To her, they are sisters. If her sisters are crying out for help, she has to save them. She looks him in the eye. Is sacrificing them all really worth his revenge? Is this really the right way to take Seiya down? Our hero freezes. A heavy weight hits his heart. This plan makes him just like those monsters. The monsters he hates. The clone speaks up, declaring they must save everyone. To make things right, the protagonist vows to kill Ishiki Seiya himself. He will use his own hands, no more treating these sisters like garbage. He apologizes for scaring her. They are going to that mansion together. They will save everyone. Together, the siblings step through the portal and vanish. Leaving the woods behind, she heads straight for the massive mansion. Meanwhile, Seiya is lashing out at one of the clones, livid that another supposedly mindless doll actually escaped. He punishes the rest of them for letting her slip through their fingers. With a cold glare, he orders them to hunt down the runaway and bring her back. They obey instantly. Minori's clones are now sprinting through the city streets, chasing a hooded figure. The chase is intense until the girl trips over a stray box. She loses her momentum. Right then, the clones pounce on her, ready to pin her down. They pin her to the concrete and signal that the target is finally captured. The mission is a success. High above on a rooftop, our hero and his sister watch. They see the whole thing. He notes that everything is going exactly as he planned. They followed her, just like he expected after that fake escape. The trap is set. He hands over one of his ears to Minori. Yes, you heard that right. She marks a cross on her face to play the bait. Using his special ability, he can listen in on every single word spoken inside that mansion through that ear. If things get dangerous, he will be there in a flash to save her. They arrive at Ishiki's mansion, and wow, this place is way bigger than it looked. The clones bang on the door, announcing they have finally caught the little runaway. Seiya is fuming, demanding to know why number 10 tried to escape his grasp. Minori plays her part perfectly, apologizing and claiming she was just chasing a mysterious shadow. She promises no more trouble, but Seiya warns her one more slip and she is trash. Suddenly, Haruto calls Seiya for a meeting, ordering him to finish her off immediately. He wants her gone before he gets back. Our hero hears the whole cold-blooded plan. The clones follow orders, and the girls lead Minori to her final destination. They take her to the execution room. It's a nightmare. Right there in the center, bodies of other clones are piled up. Minori is absolutely frozen with pure terror. While the others casually clean the blood and dump the corpses, Minori starts to break. She begins to cry. It's too cruel, it's horrific. She turns to number 10 and begs, telling number 3 they have to run before they end up like the others. But the clone just looks at her, confused. Serving the master is their only duty. Minori desperately tries to wake them up. She asks if they even realize what they're doing. Their response is chilling. They say they're just getting rid of some old trash. She screams that they'll never be happy here, trying to snap them out of it. But the girls just ask, what is happiness? They are just slaves after all. They serve the master. They don't need thoughts. They don't need their own wills. They exist to be used, to be punished, and to give up their bodies. Hearing them say they are mere objects, our hero is absolutely disgusted by this. He is enraged at that maggot Seiya. Minori shouts that this is all wrong. She tells them she knows them better than anyone. She can feel their hidden pain. She knows they've suffered, that everything they've endured has been unbearable and deeply painful. The clone struggles, asking to be let go, but Minori just holds on even tighter. She tells them they have their own souls, they have their own self-awareness inside. They just don't know how to say it. She vows to save every single one. Number 3 is confused, but for the first time, something inside her begins to stir. Suddenly, bam, the door is kicked open. It's Seiya, and he is not happy. He sneers that he never gave her permission to act bold. Things just got real. Without a word, he lashes out, slapping them in a blind rage. He decides that number 10 is a defect that needs to be tossed out. The cruelty triggers Minori's darkest memories of the torture she suffered while trapped at the Byakuran base. Seiya draws his blade, amused by the pure hatred in her eyes. Suddenly, one of the girls begs him to stop. He punishes number 3 for her insolence, slamming his sword hilt right into her face. Seeing them finally waking up, he loses interest and decides it's time to wipe them all out at once. As his blade swings toward number 3, the real Minori leaps in front of the girl. To see her protect a mere copy. He is genuinely stunned, but as he tastes the blood on his blade, he realizes this scent is familiar. She tries to strike back, but he's faster and drives his steel deep into Minori's chest. That's when he realizes she's the real Kuryu Minori. Meanwhile, our hero hears the entire tragedy through the spell. After his sister is found by that monster, Shin begins his desperate rescue mission. Blurring with speed, he storms into Ishiki's mansion. The alarms scream out, and the enemy knows Minori's brother is here to save her. Declaring that Shin is walking into hell, countless armed clones guard every corner. They are elite combat clones, and every single one shares his sister's face. The villain watches with twisted curiosity to see how long he lasts, while our hero dodges every strike. The clones lunge with their spears, but our hero evades every blow until a surprise attack lands, slicing his arm off as usual. Then, out of nowhere, clone number 10 helps him, shoving away the warrior who struck him. The other clones demand to know what number 10 is doing, and she tells them that Shin is their original older brother. In response, the warrior doesn't care, since the master's only order is to eliminate every single intruder without exception. For protecting an outsider, number 10 has now become a target herself, a traitor to the cause. The clones prepare to execute her, but right then, Shin recovers and grabs his mask. As he slams it onto his face, massive energy swirls around him. He tells clone number 10 to stay back and let him handle this. Elsewhere, Seiya slashes Minori's face, laughing as she screams in agony. He grabs her hair, smelling it, savoring the scent like a freak. Caught in the moment, he punches her, sending her flying. He actually thanks them for killing Chikara and Taru, since he was getting tired of them anyway. Seiya mocks her, asking why she'd ever return after finally escaping his grasp. Did she come back just to be his toy again? Just then, he slams a kick into her face, fueled by rage at how he used her and her sisters. Minori stands, grabs a dagger, and screams she will never forgive him. Seiya sneers, asking if she really wants revenge for years of torture, mocking her for throwing away her freedom just to try and rescue the clones. To prove his point, he grabs number 3 and beheads her right in front of Minori. Shaking with horror, she lunges to wound him with that tiny dagger, but as an expert, he doesn't take a single scratch. Showing off his power, he rips off Minori's arms with his sacred blue sword before kicking her aside. He claims these clones aren't even alive, just objects he plays with until they snap. To prove his twisted point, he eliminates another one instantly. Minori rushes to save the fallen clone. She glares with pure, burning hatred. That is exactly what Ishiki wants to see. He wants to witness her breaking, the moment Minori steps up to shield her kin. He strikes again with that wicked sword. Her arms are sliced clean off once more. She casts a spell, screaming for this monster to stay back and not move. But Seiya just laughs. She does not get it, not even a single bit. Those clones she is protecting, they are just disposable toys, worthless trash to him. Seeing her desperate struggle, he mocks her, says she needs to ask properly. He orders Minori to bow her head. She refuses, staring him down with fire. He drives his blade into a clone's gut, asking if she really does not care. He is losing his patience now, boiling over with a twisted, manic kind of fury. "Obey me," he screams it, warning her that if she will not kneel, everyone dies. He will keep slaughtering her kind. He proves it by flicking daggers, picking them off. Finally, the girl collapses. She drops to her knees, begging for the madness to stop. He takes out another one. "Is stop really the best you can do?" he asks. Forehead to the floor, she begs him to stop hurting them. It is painful to watch. He might reconsider, he says, but only if she takes the place of those dolls. Pointing his sword, he gives a sickening order. "Lick my boot, you have no choice." He pricks her skin with cold steel. "You only say 2 words from now." "Yes, sir," that is the only answer allowed. Minori is terrified and completely trapped. She finally breaks and agrees. He opens a door, never moving that blade away. With a cold, sadistic grin, he reaches out. He rips her tongue out instantly. It is gruesome. He takes it, puts it in his mouth, and actually starts to chew. He swallows it whole. "Delicious," he mutters. "This guy is a literal nightmare." "Now, you and I can see there is no mercy here," as he grabs her neck. Sword back at her throat, he demands more. "Show me that panic, I want it. Fight me, resist, because in the end, you are going to submit to me." Just as things go too far, Seiya gets blasted. A heavy punch rocks his world. It is Shin. Our hero finally arrives, delivering an absolutely massive blow to the face. After landing that hit, he rushes to his sister. let us see him take charge. Her eyes say everything. She knew her brother would never leave her. Ishiki staggers up, fuming. What did you do to my clones back at the mansion? Shin will not kill them. They are part of his sister. He could never do that. It was not easy, but he took them all down safely. They are incapacitated now. Seiya finds that boring. He would have done something way more twisted with those dolls. Capturing them, violating them, doing it all while their brother is forced to watch. Shin does not flinch. You want interesting? I am going to crush you 1,000,000 times. Shin throws another punch, but Seiya is fast. He catches it on his sword. The impact alone sends him back. The villain finally sees how Shin handled the clones. That kind of strength is unreal, but he is not done playing with him yet. He hurls him away instantly. Then, he charges his blade with lightning magic. The strike is lethal. It completely tears one of Shin's arms right off his body. But wait, the severed arm glows with magic. It is moving, flying straight at Ishiki. That ghost punch is massive. It sends the villain flying, shattering the entire area. Where they land. All right, you and I are back in the hall as Seiya hides behind clones. Shin finds it pathetic seeing Seiya cower behind the very dolls he abused. Seiya scoffs. He doesn't care about their feelings since they are his. Ending the talk, he orders the girls to kill. Shin dodges the strikes. But seeing his sister's face in every attacker, that just makes him snap. Minori tries to shout a warning about a sneak attack, but gets hit. Seeing her go down breaks Shin's focus. The clones seize him right then. He is pinned. Shin screams for them to let go as Minori is hit. While he is struggling, Seiya lands a brutal, heavy blow to Shin's back. The villain gloats that Shin failed his only job, protecting his younger sister. Instead of being angry, Shin apologizes to the clones for all their pain. One of the girls took that hit too. He truly feels their suffering. Clone number 3 says it's just her function, but Seiya interrupts the talk. He barks that her only job is to obey. Shin's glare makes him furious. Seiya starts swinging wildly, but Shin's reflexes are insane. He misses every blow. Shin reaches higher ground to reset. That's when Seiya targets a Minori clone. He swings his blade to execute the girl, but Shin dives right in. Shin takes the blade for her. Seiya just asks why he isn't fighting. He threatens that if Shin resists, he will make his sister suffer instead. Seiya grips his sword and unleashes a wind strike, literally shredding the hero apart. Shin is on the floor, broken and bloody. Seiya laughs, promising a show. He is going to make Shin watch everything he does to his sister. After a cruel kick, Shin suddenly stands. His body is already regenerating quickly. Ishiki calls him a useless undead, but Shin stands firm, shielding every clone. The girls are confused. Why protect them? Shin says it's to save his sister. Seiya rages, screaming they are just disposable tech and not his real sister. Calling them slaves, he orders his army to finish Shin off immediately. Desperate and losing control, Seiya screams for them to follow his orders. Now, here's where you and I see the clones start to change. Total silence follows. Not a single clone moves to obey his command. Now they are realizing where they came from. The fog is finally lifting. They see why Shin is fighting so hard. It is not just duty. They identify the real enemy. Slowly, they begin to surround the villain. They have turned. Seiya's face pales as his own army turns against him. He is terrified. They finally understand they are more than just clones. They aren't machines. They're living souls connected to the original girl's essence. That deep bond is pulling the original Minori's memories into their minds. They see it all now, scenes of Shin's desperate struggle to protect them. Shin realizes her power, lets her control pieces of herself that were separated. Without even knowing it, Minori's spirit was flowing through every girl. Seiya completely loses it. He screams that he's the master in charge. They were supposed to serve him, but now anyone hurting Shin is an enemy. Anyone hurting Shin is an enemy. Ishiki threatens to cut them to pieces. Stick with me, Shin charges and lands another blow to end it. Trying to slice him to pieces, Shin shuts it down and lands another strike. Seiya lands a massive punch. As the villain hits the dirt, Seiya is suddenly ambushed. A Minori clone strikes with a spear. the defeated villain lies there, broken. Shin looms over him, asking how to end this, but as we know, the real Minori wants this kill for herself. She needs this closure. Revenge only counts if it is by her own hands. Meanwhile, the clones pin Ishiki down. He screams for mercy, but Minori just summons a weapon. A massive hammer slams down, but one hit, not nearly enough for her. Her rage is bottomless. Minori is going to tear him into tiny pieces. Before he stops breathing, clone number 10 steps in to report. They all suffered through hell. They felt every ounce of that pain. After so many were slaughtered, she demands that Ishiki feels the same. She wants him to suffer more. Shin sees the trauma they endured. Being killed over and over again, that is a literal living nightmare. Pure hell. Now, we see the basement where a monster is kept. A drugged beast waits there, ready to assault anything in its path. Just like that poor hunter who crossed Seiya, this is the final revenge. It is brutal. Minori, Shin, and number 10 head to the depths. Down in the dark, they chain the villain in heavy iron. Ishiki trembles as the cage opens. A massive emperor oak emerges. The false hero screams in terror. Legend says just one of these things have the raw power to forge an entire nation alone. Usually, it only hunts women, but thanks to those twisted drugs, now it attacks anything. No one is safe from its hunger. Minori is sickened. Shin turns his eyes away as the nightmare begins. The beast shreds his clothes and licks its lips, curtains close. The horror ends. Minori and her brother are completely drained. They just need rest. The clones offer tea and heartfelt thanks. They thank Shin for saving them and sparing their lives earlier. Number 10 is so grateful, she has no way to repay. Their true brother, he accepts the thanks but needs a tour. He needs supplies and intel on the Byakuran Guild immediately. While number 3 leads him, number 10 stays behind to watch. Until the end, the girl confesses her deep fears and doubts. She has no future. She was born a tool with no choices. She fears the world. Shin stops her. That is a lie. He accepts them. You do not need to find a purpose. Just live for now. Number 3 makes a silent promise. She will try her best, but then, out of nowhere, disaster. Her head is taken, a clean, cold strike, right before him. Kira Haruto stands there. It has been a long time, hero. To get here, the Byakuran hero slaughtered every other clone. He smiles at Shin, a sick, twisted grin for this reunion. He is happy to see him, but everyone must die. One strike, a precise flash of steel. Shin's hands are gone. Severed, Kira scoffs. You did not even react in time. As his limbs knit together, our protagonist charges, throwing a heavy punch. Energy surges with magic, but the enemy dodges. Haruto expected much more. Shin swings repeatedly, but he hits nothing. Kira calls these attacks mindless, then starts preparing a truly deadly spell. The blast rips the mansion apart and shreds our hero's arms. Seeing the sheer destruction, Makoto calls him a literal monster. Kira just laughs, an immortal calling someone else a monster, rich. With one arm gone, our hero desperately tries to regenerate. But nothing happens. Absolute despair kicks in. Kira reveals his sword's enchantment. It completely shuts down all healing. Pure terror, Kira is nothing like the others. Victory seems impossible. Now, he just wants his sister to escape. He is ready to die here. Shin demands to know how he found them. Ishiki's report stopped, so Kira investigated and found Makoto instead. Lucky for Kira, but a nightmare for us. Haruto asks who else is hiding in the mansion. He knows the sister is there somewhere nearby. He doesn't care about avenging his dead guild. He is actually glad they died, more experience points. Finishing them now means massive level ups. Our hero thinks he is totally insane. The villain doesn't care. Suddenly, he just vanishes. He reappears instantly, burying his sword in Shin. It's a fatal blow. Our hero collapses, completely defeated. Kira levels up, drowning in pure ecstasy. But wait, Shin isn't done. He binds Kira's feet. Using his sanctuary's dome, Kira repels the hero. Shin goes flying as Kira claims he's truly invincible. The protagonist can't even touch his enemy. He's bleeding out, and his healing is stalled. Kira's power is absolute. He offers a deal. Surrender quietly, and your sister stays safe. If he resists, he'll capture them both anyway. Shin asks if he's lying. Haruto just shrugs. In a panic, Shin drops to his knees. Take only me. He begs for her life. Kira laughs. It was a lie. He planned to kill both. Pure rage, our hero swings, but Kira dodges back. Suddenly, all the clones and the real Minori appear. Haruto notes Shin has been busy protecting them all. Minori arrives, and Shin screams for them to stop. They don't stand a single chance here. The clones get destroyed, but they're buying him time. Haruto closes in fast. They chose to die for Shin, a final sacrifice to pay him back for pulling them out of that hell. Using a quick teleportation spell, one clone barely managed to warp the two siblings away to safety. They were gone. Kira's strike hit nothing but air, and he realized the situation had shifted. A spell of that magnitude, it would require an insane amount of mana to pull off. He saw the caster collapse on the ground and realized things were getting complicated. Still, even if every single clone jumped him at once, they had zero chance of winning. They were no match for him, but then one clone did something completely unexpected. She tore her shirt open, exposing the dark purpose she was actually built for. Ishiki's plan was always cruel: use them until they broke, then throw them away like trash. Clone number 10 triggered a biological bomb, letting all that condensed soul energy rip free. It was all stored in a crystal right in her chest, using every last drop of life. They whispered a final, thanks to Shin and Minori, before the entire mansion went up in flames. Now, let's look at Sajiri Aya, supposedly the most beautiful woman in the entire guild. She had it all: stunning looks, a sweet voice, and a vibe that made everyone fall for her. Everyone was obsessed with her, but those who actually got close, they saw the nightmare. Being alone with her was a curse. That's when her terrifying secret finally came to light. One man saw her bathing in vital fluid, human blood, and glimpsed the monster behind the mask. 6 months back, she headed down to the secret bunker hidden deep beneath the guild. She walked into the prison cell, where the siblings were being kept to check her harvest. She needed to see how much blood they'd bled out for her so far. It was only half full. That wasn't enough. She decided to crank up the extraction speed. The machine stalled, so she marched over to the controls and forced it back on. The siblings watched in horror as a massive, razor-sharp fan appeared right underneath them. Those blades started spinning fast, deadly fast. The two kids panicked as they were pulled in. They were being slowly torn apart, and Aya, she just stood there and laughed like a psycho. This didn't help her level up, but she didn't care about experience points right now. All she wanted was their tomato sauce. She lived to soak in that precious life force. She figured immortals would look like zombies, but their skin was actually incredibly soft. No matter how much she tortured them, their skin just grew back, smooth as a baby's. It was every woman's dream, to have skin that stayed young and flawless forever. Eternal youth, everlasting beauty. For Aya, this was the ultimate prize she would kill for. With that face, men and money would just fall into her lap. She was purely jealous. Why were they born with this gift? By drinking their blood, she could stay radiant forever. She'd finally found the secret formula for immortality, and she wanted every single drop. She was obsessed with that blood. Kira, the guild leader, just watched her with total pride. He approved of her madness. Now, back to the present day, things are falling apart. Kira arrives at the scene, but the siblings are nowhere to be found. They've vanished. He's stunned. Did those two actually manage to slip through his fingers and escape? He calls Aya, trying to sound sympathetic, but she is absolutely losing her mind with rage. "Where are they?" she screams. "How could you let them get away?" Kira tells her they killed Seiya and ran, but Aya doesn't give a damn about Seiya. She just wants her prizes back. She orders him to hunt them down immediately. Kira doesn't get why she's panicking. I mean, they still have plenty of blood stored up. But Aya knows better. Stored blood is useless. It has to be fresh to keep her beautiful. Without a fresh, constant supply, her perfect face will start to wither away. Kira just shrugs, telling her he couldn't care less about her fading youth. He grumbles about her constant shouting, while Aya snaps back, calling him totally useless. She demands he stop playing around and track those fugitives down now. Kira's eyes turn cold. He asks when she suddenly earned the right to boss him around. He tells her to go hunt them herself if she's that thirsty for blood. He keeps pushing, warning her that all this stress is going to cause wrinkles. That's the final straw. Pure rage ignites the air around her in an instant. Fueled by fury, the mage decides she'll hunt those two down herself. Meanwhile, Haruto finally opens his eyes and asks his sister where they are. She explains the clones leveled the gate area, and somehow they landed here. They're stuck in a dungeon. Panic sets in as he asks about the others. Minori's face drops, and our hero feels the weight of total devastation. He failed to save them, the promise he made, broken into 1,000 pieces. Seeing his absolute heartbreak, Minori pulls him into a tight, desperate hug. She whispers that they would understand, since he fought so hard for her. Haruto carries the guilt of the survivors, desperate to somehow fix his mistakes. Through Minori, he can actually feel the emotions the clones left behind. In that moment, he realizes they chose to stay with her until the end. Through her tears, Minori confirms that everyone heard his very last message. Their wish for him to survive hits hard, but he just feels so weak. He's desperate for more power. His sister feels the exact same way. Squeezing his hand, she reminds him of their pact to grow stronger together. While he was out, Byakuren dropped a massive announcement about the two. Minori was terrified it was news of his death, but it's actually worse. The nightmare is just beginning. The bounty on their heads has skyrocketed. It's now 5 billion per person. Every hunter in the world is watching. They have to get out now. The hunters are closing in fast. Their enemies can track their every move through the teleportation points. They scramble down a winding path until a blinding light reveals the exit. Suddenly, Haruto blocks her way. Something massive is waiting right at the door. A monstrous giant eye appears, blocking out the sun. Then it happens. The whole beast emerges, a terrifying dragon. Minori screams for them to run. She wants to hide back in the dungeon, but Haruto has other plans. But then, the dragon opens its maw, unleashing a devastating blast of fire. The explosion sends them flying. As they crash, the massive beast takes flight. It's circling above. This is a high-rank monster, a total nightmare. These things never leave their dungeons. Why on earth is it out here? There's no explanation, and worse, there's absolutely no way they can win this. They scramble to dodge the fiery inferno while racing toward a nearby city. They think they're safe because dragons usually avoid human cities. They were wrong. To their absolute horror, the dragon breathes fire directly into the city streets. Half the town is incinerated instantly. That fire is over 3,000 degrees. It melts everything it touches. Even those scales look like impenetrable armor. Cannon fire wouldn't even leave a scratch. The beast is literally indestructible. You'd need several elite guilds working together just to stand a chance. Faced with this absolute nightmare, the siblings search for an escape. Then Shin suggests a suicide mission, a direct attack on the beast. Minori thinks he's gone insane, but he's dead set on victory. He promises they will win and reminds her of the vow they made. This is it. If they back down, their revenge is officially over. Shin breaks left while Minori circles right, trapping the beast between them. The monster breathes pure fire as our hero hunts for an opening. Mask on, magic active, he charges straight into the heart of the flame. Shin leaps high, starting a high-stakes duel in midair. Even a dragon has a weak spot, and that spot is its head. A massive punch connects with the skull, sending the creature stumbling back. Blood coats his fist, but those scales are harder than steel. Minori spots the weak points tucked between the dragon's thick armor. She slides in close, ready to drive her blade through the gaps. The dagger sinks in, but the dragon barely flinches, swinging its tail. Minori is tossed aside, and the beast turns its fury on Shin. A blast of fire hits him head-on, but his sister is there. She jumps in to protect him as the monster unleashes red death. Minori attempts to shield the blast with her strongest defensive magic. Her shield shatters, leaving her hand mangled and burning from the hit. These black flames eat magic, and they're starting to consume her too. Through the agony, she remembers the fallen clones and finds her fire. To stop the burn, she literally rips her own arm off. Insane. She stands her ground as Shin staggers back up for more. His bones are liquid, but he's not calling it quits just yet. A dragon's breath, he expected this kind of brutal pain. Coldly, he tears off his own hand, imbuing it with lethal magic. He hurls the severed limb, and it strikes the beast with force. For the first time, the monster screams in actual, genuine pain. Shin signals the opening, and Minori charges in for the kill. She screams, pulling every last drop of magic from her soul. Infernal black flames erupt, slamming into the target with absolute fury. The dragon wails as its life force begins to fade away. Suddenly, our hero appears, wielding his limbs as a weapon. He compresses all his remaining strength into one single, deadly point. One final, unified strike shatters the dragon's legendary scale armor. He smashes the creature's skull, forcing out one last, pathetic cry. The beast crashes down, dead. Finally, the nightmare is over. Victory is sweet, and the massive level up, even sweeter. Triumphant, the siblings stand over the fallen beast. Minori can feel it, her hidden powers have finally awakened. But wait, why was a dragon even in this area? Shin notices the purple glow in its eyes. Someone was watching. It's the same hypnotic light from their darkest days of torture. Someone was pulling strings. Only one person could wield hypnosis magic this powerful. It's definitely the mage Aya. The moment her name is spoken, a swarm of dragons circles the island. Two figures in elegant clothes, armed with sharp swords, ride atop them. They leap down. Our hero instantly suspects their puppets under her dark control. They charge Shin and Minori without hesitation. Suddenly, a sword comes flying at the girl, but she rolls out of harm's way. Shin's blood begins to boil. He throws a punch that sends the attacker crashing back. Then a massive dragon appears, charging a lethal breath attack. It fires, and the blast is terrifying. The landscape is scorched. Shin realizes this explosion is way bigger than before. Their cover is blown. You and I can see the enemies closing in. More monsters are swarming every second. Shin makes a split-second decision right now. He targets the dragon, telling Minori to handle the brainwashed hunters nearby. But they're stronger than they look. Shin shouts for her to back off. He realizes he's leading her into a death trap. He decides to go solo. He'll handle this alone, but Minori can't stand to watch her brother suffer. Remembering their nightmare at the mansion against Seiya, a spark hits her mind. She tells him she's done hiding. He doesn't have to carry this burden solo. This revenge belongs to both of them. Together, they rush the hypnotized hunters. Minori lets her fire magic loose, incinerating 3 enemies in one blast. The dragon fires an ice breath, hitting Shin directly. It looks absolutely brutal. Half his body is ripped away. He uses body manipulation to strike back hard. But the beast bites his legs, stopping his counter. Shin stays calm and clever. He injects a deadly poison. The creature screams in agony as the venom spreads. It falls dead, boosting Shin's level significantly. Meanwhile, the hunters swarm Minori. She's a blur, dodging every strike, but more enemies are diving from above. She's forced to raise a magic shield. It's a desperate struggle for survival. Then a blade finds her back. You and I see her reach her limit. She snaps. Black flame expansion erupts, wiping out every enemy in her path. She warns Shin they need to end this fast before the damage becomes permanent. But get this, even while burning in black fire, those hunters stand back up. Hypnosis magic demands obedience. It keeps them standing despite the pain. They stand through the agony. Then, the monsters suddenly start retreating. They form a perfect line. Even the dragons wait as a portal opens. Sajiri Aya steps through. The siblings notice Kira Haruto isn't with her today. She's incredibly arrogant, clearly thinking she can take both siblings by herself. She explains her secret. She shares every sense with her brainwashed puppets. That's how she tracked them. Shin mocks her for coming without her partner. She laughs it off. She doesn't need help to crush 2 weaklings like them. Minori summons her black flames. Pride comes before the fall, she warns. She attacks, but the mage dispels the magic like it was absolutely nothing. She's completely unharmed, not even a scratch. She used a truly horrific shield. She used living humans as a barrier. Minori is absolutely fuming with rage. Tears fall as she realizes Aya views humans as nothing more than tools. A hunter collapses, dead. Aya just scoffs, saying human lives mean zero to her. To her, only beauty and power matter. Stick with me, the payback is coming. Everyone is disposable. Minori believes in equality, but the mage disagrees entirely. She claims they are living in a total illusion and will shatter it right now. Aya summons a purple lightning spell. It's massive, tearing through the surroundings with power. A huge crater opens up. As Shin Makoto leaps to save her, Aya intercepts. She tells him he should be more worried about himself instead. Then, she strikes. Using hypnotic temptation, the witch plants a kiss right on his lips. Shin's eyes turn purple. He's a puppet now, leaving his sister in absolute shock. The mage calls him lucky. He'll stay young forever and never lift a finger again. Creepy. Minori is absolutely fuming. She won't let this witch toy with her brother's mind. She lunges with her dagger, but her own brother jumps in, taking the blow. The mage starts mocking her, saying how terrible it feels to stab her own brother. Just as Minori tries to attack again, Aya forces her brother to counter with a punch. She barely dodges. Minori screams for him to wake up from the dark trance. She begs him to recognize her, but Aya laughs. This hypnosis is just too strong. Only killing the caster can break it. Until then, he is her loyal weapon. Aya gives the order. Controlling Shin, she makes him attack his own sister. The boy begins to throw a flurry of kicks. He's moving with incredible speed. He kicks her back and advances, preparing another strike to finish her off. The punch lands squarely. Aya knows this hurts Minori's heart more than her body. Minori grabs her blade. To survive, she realizes she has to actually fight back. She looks at him and sees visions of his kindness. Every memory is a distraction. That distraction is a huge mistake. She takes a powerful hit and crashes down. Lying there disarmed, she feels weak. How can she possibly fight her brother? Suddenly, he's choking her. He lifts her off the ground, making her feel powerless. Visions of him protecting her flash by. She remembers their promise to get strong together. Still barely conscious, Minori starts to murmur. Something deep inside is finally snapping. Then, pure hatred takes over her soul. She screams to eliminate the witch. Aya orders Shin to tear her into pieces. But Minori reacts first. In a flash, she severs her own brother's limbs away. She's apologizing while dodging his attacks and keeps moving fast across the field. Immediately after, she casts a black flame spell. The explosion covers the whole area. Aya escapes through a portal. Minori realizes hiding behind him isn't enough anymore. For her own survival, she finally turns cold. She attacks him ruthlessly, tearing off his arms. Finally, she takes his head to end it all. Even headless, Shin refuses to stop. He lands another punch on his sister. She can feel the hidden apologies in every single heavy blow. It should have been her apologizing. She was the weak one dragging him down. But that ends today. Now, she finally has the strength to protect. As she fights, she levels up. She moves in for one final hug. During the embrace, she makes a vow. She'll become strong for both. She explodes with magic, taking Shin Makoto with her in the blast. After the sacrificial attack, Aya tries to collect the blood of the siblings. She wants to recover them quickly. The witch is growing irritated by the second. The dense smoke is making her mission nearly impossible. She can't see a thing. The fog makes her irritated as it prevents her from seeing them. From the shadows, silence. Through the smoke, Minori's voice rang out. Aya had seriously underestimated her. Thinking she couldn't fight Shin was a mistake. Since escaping hell together, they had already killed each other countless times. Now, insane power flooded from the girl. She declared her mind was made up long ago. Shin Makoto thanked his sister for breaking the trance. Now, they fight together. Aya realized the blast had snapped him out of it. She prepared hypnosis. She summoned her army of hunters and dragons, commanding them to kill. Minori, now surged with power, used her dagger to parry a lethal strike. Her brother quickly took down the hunter, but a dragon breathed fire. He was nearly incinerated on the spot, but right then, Minori saved him. She conjured a protection spell. Then, she unleashed her signature black flames. The monster went down hard, but the mage just raised the corpses again. She told them resistance was futile. These puppets would move until hearts stopped. Shin knew that unless they were completely obliterated, these zombies would keep rising. He knew that if they didn't eliminate them properly, they'd keep coming back. The two siblings continued to face the hypnotized crowd, who acted like zombies. Even after taking a severe beating, one of them remained standing before him. It was missing its entire jaw. Minori pointed out their movements weren't magical. She told him to just knock them down. He understood the plan immediately. He began attacking with everything, imbuing his fists with pure magical power. Mid-combat, an enraged dragon flew toward him with Aya mounted on its back. The dragon stomped, pinning the hero to the ground. She saw her opportunity. She tried her hypnosis again, claiming no one ever escapes her dark spell. Aya began to laugh. His stamina and magic were surely at their limit. Confident he would fall, she ordered him to eliminate his own sister, Minori. Suddenly, he knelt and gathered power. Aya urged him to follow the command. Shattering her expectations, he delivered a massive punch directly to the villain's chin. Lying on the ground in shock, she realized her hypnosis no longer worked. The two siblings were at a higher level. Her magic was now useless. With her teeth shattered, Aya couldn't believe he had overcome her ultimate spell. In a total fury, she began casting every destructive spell she could find. Minori raised a shield, blocking every attack. She claimed they were both immortal. This made Aya more furious. She unleashed a flurry of elemental magical meteors. The spells didn't work. Kuryu and Minori defended everything, then countered together. They used the black line spell. Even behind a shield, she was breaking. She found it absurd that her magic was losing. Then, the hit landed. The spell burned her skin. Aya began to scream in absolute, soul-tearing agony. It was a pain Minori knew well. Now, it was finally Aya's turn. Because of Minori's magic, the siblings' past suffering was nothing compared to this. The younger sister wanted her to feel everything. She flipped the script completely. Using the enemy's own hypnosis, she condemned her to an eternal nightmare hell. Time passed. Aya finally woke up. She was trapped inside that familiar capsule. Minori wanted her to feel it all, so she turned that hypnosis back. She condemned her enemy to live in an eternal hell forever. Later on, Aya woke up tied inside the same capsule where they suffered. The siblings were brutalized here. Realizing where she is, panic sets in and she shrieks for release. Locked in chains, she still demands they hand over that precious treasure, frantically casting lightning, meteors, and torrents of water to escape. She hurls wind blades and every spell she knows, but nothing works. Magic fails her. Spotting our main character, she desperately begs for his attention. She demands to be heard, but he just keeps working on his computer. Terror takes over as she asks his plan. Then, he hits the red button. The propeller below whirs to life, dragging the witch straight into the blades. Within seconds, she is being shredded, letting out a blood-curdling scream of agony. Her limbs are ripped apart, then she suddenly jolts awake. Was it a dream? No, she is right back where she started, and that pain was very real. Aya starts begging for mercy, but the main character points to a scoreboard. That number on the screen says everything. That is how many times the siblings suffered this exact same gruesome torture. She realizes she is doomed to repeat that agony over and over again. He hits the button once more and the witch screams. Finally, she wakes. She has endured the exact same amount of torture as those siblings did. Now she thinks she can finally go back to reality and escape this pain. The second she returns, she plans to find those siblings and finish them. But then the counter resets. Despair hits her like a physical blow. She thought it was over, but he presses the button. Round 2 begins. More suffering. Screaming, she cannot believe she has to endure this all again. Meanwhile, the siblings watch as the witch's body begins to wither and dry. Wrinkles appear everywhere. This is Aya Sajiri's true form, the real hidden face. She used magic to hide her age, but she is actually over a century old. Our hero explains she has lived for about 150 years. She discovered the secret to youth, drinking the vital fluid of an immortal tribe. That is why she was so obsessed with the siblings and staying young. Even after all that torture, she still desperately clings to her pathetic life. Shin thinks they should just leave her there to die of old age. The hero refuses to finish her off, turning to walk away from her. Then his sister spots something glinting in the distance. What could it be? It is the medallion the witch used to manipulate parents and their children. Determined, she realizes she must end this cycle of pain now. The witch loses track of time, wondering if days have already passed by. She knows the end is close. Suddenly, Haruto arrives at her side. He finds her on her deathbed. Aya begs him to finally end it. She cannot last much longer. However, Kira refuses to grant her that mercy. He leaves her to suffer alone, ignoring her final plea for death. She will rot slowly, her body decaying to reflect her true ancient age. Kira senses the siblings nearby and swears he will not let them escape. He vows they won't get away. Far away, the siblings settle for the night. They light a campfire and reflect on just how far their mission has come. So much has happened. Every challenge they faced just made them even stronger. They survived it all, but they also finally ended this cycle of pain. So many innocent lives were sacrificed for a revenge that had nothing to do with them. Even their clone sisters are gone, and that weight is crushing Minori's very soul. But it's almost over. One final boss remains between them and peace, Kira Haruto. If they take him down, their revenge is complete. They just need to rest first. But peace is a dream. Shin suddenly hears something and screams for her to run. They leap aside just as an explosive strike obliterates the spot where they stood. Haruto appears out of the smoke, looking thrilled to have finally cornered them. Sword in hand, he laughs. Found you, he shouts, eyes gleaming with pure malice. The siblings scramble to flee. Minori thinks they can fight, but Shin knows better. They are completely drained from fighting Aya. If they stay, they will be captured. But Kira is too fast. He lunges forward like a predator closing in on prey. Kira charges forward with a swift lunge, but the protagonist intercepts him. He meets him with a counter, shouting that Kira was the last person he wanted to see. Haruto hates the attitude and retorts that they have a long history together. He says he was just planning to play with the little sister. But he's changed his mind. Now, he's going to erase her from existence. His sword transforms, sprouting eyes and growing into a massive, grotesque weapon. He's still fuming that she escaped the mansion, and he needs an outlet. He must eliminate her. With a manic grin, Kira declares his intent. Since she angered him, he will erase her existence. Shin is absolutely livid. He lunges at the villain, fury coursing through his veins. Shin throws a punch. Haruto dodges effortlessly. Then, Minori attacks the villain with her dagger. He parries both blows, but Shin strikes again. Their teamwork is actually working. Their pressure is effective. Now, you and I see Minori imbue her dagger. She unleashes a lethal slash. As Kira dodges, our hero suddenly appears behind. Shin throws a charged punch, but Kira dodges again. The situation turns dangerous. Kira starts casting a spell. His sword is now imbued with terrifying energy. This energy proves he is a major threat. Shin runs to escape him. Shin tries to outrun the sword attacks, but he ends up losing his arm. He tries to force a regeneration, but notices his healing isn't working at all. Life fluid drains from his body. The pain is agonizing, paralyzing him where he stands. As Minori runs to help her brother, she is struck from behind. A brutal kick sends her flying, crashing through the forest like a ragdoll. Kira reveals he wields the sword that banishes immortals. These wounds never regenerate. Unlike his usual toys, this weapon is a true executioner. It truly eliminates them. Shin falls into despair, but Kira remains calm and raises his blade. He delivers a sudden, lethal slash to end the protagonist's life right here. Kira smiles, thinking he has won, but then he didn't hit his target. Minori had thrown herself in front of the blade to protect her brother. In one single instant, her body is destroyed, leaving her brother in shock. Shin begins to sob, clutching what is left of Minori in his arms. Her last words are just his name. In a desperate panic, he tries to help. He attempts a spell to save her, but nothing happens. He screams, completely shattered. He begs his sister to wake up, refusing to believe their journey ends like this. She whispers her love one final time, and then Kira finishes her off forever. All right, you and I are watching Makoto completely paralyzed, unable to move. Haruto just laughs, admitting he hates these messy, emotional family reunions. He knew her loyalty would be her downfall. Loyalty is so predictable. Makoto stares at his sister's severed head, completely lost in shock. The pain is so deep he cannot cry. Then, a memory surfaces. He remembers the days they were free, her cooking for him, happiness. Just Minori hanging the laundry while the sun shined on them. She would smile and promise it was going to be beautiful. He would tell her school was starting, and they would go. She told him a boy invited her out. Makoto found it suspicious. He thought she hated aquariums, but she was just being shy. In reality, she just wanted more time with her big brother. Sweet. Since he had been busy working, he promised to take her. They made that promise, but then the memory turns cold and dark. Walking home, they ran straight into a nightmare, Haruto Kira. They both confirmed. Haruto just smiled a wicked grin. He had been hunting them for a long, long time. Finally. He unsheathed his blade, claiming he only wanted them for their bodies. With one brutal flash, he cut Makoto in half right there. Minori burst into tears, but then the impossible happened. He healed. Haruto was mesmerized. This level of regeneration, it was absolutely beautiful. Makoto did not even know he had this power. Informant was right. They were immortals, living treasures, so Haruto struck again harder. He took both their heads in one clean swing, blood everywhere. But they just kept coming back, no matter the damage they healed. He was stunned, real monsters, the true descendants of the immortals. The siblings had no clue about their bloodline, not one idea. He slaughtered them again, pinning their heads under his boot like trash. That was the start, they became his food, the torture never ended. Dying hundreds of times, Haruto promised to use every bit of them. Now, Makoto is sobbing, watching his sister's life fade away forever. Then something snaps. He goes full berserk, fueled by pure fury. A violent, red energy explodes from his body after that scream. A macabre aura surrounds him. This is not a human transformation. Even Haruto feels a chill. This monstrous presence is actually terrifying. He gapes at Makoto's new form, a bestial figure with horns. Makoto lunges with a roar, gathering a massive wave of magic. The ground shakes violently. A shockwave of wind sends Haruto flying back. He casts a spell on his sister, desperate to bring her back. Her wounds close instantly. Haruto is stunned. That blade should have killed. How is she alive? What kind of insane power is this boy using? He is watching an evolution, a species shift. Haruto is nervous. This is unprecedented. He has no idea what this trick is. But now, the game has changed. His target is the brother. Kira intends to end Kuryu Makoto once and for all. Watch. He lunges forward with everything he has. But watch this, Makoto just vanishes. He's gone, sister and all, only to reappear behind him. He gently sets Minori down. Haruto can't believe it. Somehow, against all odds, Makoto has actually learned how to fight. Now in his beast form, the hero charges. He's trying to shred him with those claws. Kira dodges just in time. Now it's a brutal dance of speed and raw strength. Haruto is absolutely fuming. How did this guy reach this level just from a death? Especially since Haruto had to slaughter Makoto thousands of times just to level up like this. Makoto lets out a bone-chilling shriek and lunges forward at him once again. Kira refuses to accept this. Another massive clash breaks out as they collide head-on. At first, neither can land a clean blow, but then, Makoto finds an opening. He sends Kira flying. For the first time in a long while, the hero feels pain. He admits Kuryu actually hurt him, but tells him there is no point in getting arrogant. After all, he's just some descendant of an immortal. There's no way he can win. Haruto smiles at the monster Makoto has become. The boy barely even reacts to the insults. They both take a deep breath. Then, it's right back into a sequence of relentless attacks. Attack, dodge, repeat. Makoto isn't giving him a single second to breathe right now. Makoto charges up a dark lightning spell and fires it straight at his enemy. Haruto narrowly dodges. He's getting more and more furious that this is even happening. He swings his sword, desperate to end this. Makoto takes a nasty hit to the shoulder. The blade nearly splits him in two. Haruto is determined to make sure he dies here. He leaps into the air, aiming a killing blow right through the boy's chest. But our protagonist has already recovered. He throws up a powerful magic barrier instead. He blocks the strike, then counters with a blast of energy that knocks Kira down. With Haruto on the ground, Makoto begins to slowly walk toward his enemy. Kira can't believe it. He's actually about to die. No way he lets it end here. Suddenly, Minori opens her eyes. Even that god-slaying sword couldn't keep her down for good. She sees her brother trembling as Haruto reveals a terrifying, semi-demonic form of his own. She's in total shock. She really thought that sword strike had ended her life right then. Everything is a total blur. How is she alive? And is that terrifying monster really her brother? In his true form, Haruto says he never intended to show this to anyone. Wings sprout from his back. He declares that the price for this will be incredibly high. The immortal tribe is going to pay. His hatred is practically radiating off of him. He lunges forward for a brutal attack. Neither of them is holding back anymore. They clash with hellish strength. The energy they're giving off is absolutely insane. Minori watches them tear through the sky with such intensity. She's completely stunned by it all. Kira's face is a mask of pure demonic rage as he swings his sword once more. But get this, Makoto catches the blade with his bare hands, like it's nothing. He charges a magical blast in his mouth and fires it point-blank at his enemy. It's a direct hit. The explosion sends Haruto reeling in pure, unadulterated pain. Somehow he stands his ground. He retaliates with a strike that slams the hero down. He charges again, sending him flying across the battlefield with another massive slash. Makoto skids across the dirt, then lunges back with a guttural, terrifying scream. He actually bites the Byakuran leader's neck. Kira lets out a sharp cry of agony. But Haruto uses the opening. He swings his blade, aiming to end Kuryu for good. He believes it's over. He's finally severed Makoto's head from his body. Against that blade, regeneration is a joke. He mocks Makoto, asking if his immortality is finally breaking. Laughing like a maniac, Kira's twisted joy suddenly vanishes. A glowing magic circle begins manifesting from Makoto's broken body. Makoto's head snaps back into place. Haruto spots the ancient, intricate pattern of the spell. The circle takes the shape of a clock. And Haruto realizes it. Makoto literally just turned back the hands of time. Seeing both siblings alive again leaves Kira shaking in absolute terror. He still laughs, deeming it impossible to use that god-tier move twice. Kira draws his blade, preparing the legendary strike that slew the demon king of hell. He's ending this now. Makoto charges a counterspell instead. Purple energy swirls around his sword, humming with pure, raw power. The two clash with everything they've got, trying to delete each other. Kira's overwhelming strength shatters the defense. He thinks he's already won. His blade slices through the hero's light. Makoto is losing, he's falling. But wait, you and I missed one thing. Minori suddenly appears behind him. She presses her hands against her brother's back, screaming for him to win. Her touch changes everything. Makoto smiles. This is for her, for them. A fresh surge of power explodes. Revenge is finally within reach. Kira yells that he's killed them hundreds of times before, and he'll do it again. He claims the siblings were born just to be destroyed by his hand. Minori snaps back. If their destiny is to keep coming back, then that destiny ends today. Because right now, they're erasing Kira for good. With a roar, Makoto releases a blast of absolutely terrifying magical energy. The explosion hits like a tactical nuke, vaporizing the guild leader instantly. A few weeks after Kira's death, results from the Byakuran Guild investigation were finally released. Their darkest crimes were exposed to the public. And truth spread. Other hunters couldn't believe how crazy those guild members were. Kira's mask was gone. Everyone saw him for the monster he really was. The public felt for the siblings, but their bloody path of revenge remained. The law looked the other way. They were officially free. Finally, truly free. But now what? You and I have to wonder what comes next. The two talk about their future, but nowhere feels like home anymore. Suddenly, Makoto stops. He remembers that old promise about the aquarium. He suggests they finally go. Minori's eyes well up with happy tears. She agrees instantly. Now that time belongs to them, they have much to say. They talk for hours. They were almost crushed by fate, but they survived. Hand in hand, they choose to start over. A new life together at last. No matter how many times it takes, they won't ever give up. Parts that aren't quite right, so after that, when everything is ready, inserting the right images and syncing the audio together, then we proceed to export the video for publishing. So this is the process that I create a complete video. Therefore, I really hope that the YouTube support team reconsiders their decision. Check if there are any mistakes anywhere to help us return to the program earning money from YouTube. I sincerely thank you.